In this episode, Golden and I discuss Masters of the Universe Revelation, Season 1, Part 1. Full speed ahead.
The Omega Beam. Full power. The Omega Beam.
Welcome to the Omega Beam number 137. I'm your host, Oren Merton. Now, Masters of the Universe franchise has been around since I was a kid in the 80s. He-Man and Skeletor and Castle Grayskull have been parts of the toy landscape for as long as I can remember, and they've had animated shows sporadically over the years. Now, Kevin Smith, a creator that's made a few movies that I've really enjoyed, a podcast called Fat Man Beyond I really like, he was given the reins to the franchise and is the showrunner for Masters of the Universe Revelations. And Part 1 of Season 1 is now streaming on Netflix. And let's get into it. I am here with Golden to talk about Masters of the Universe Revelation, Part 1. The first 5 episodes are now streaming on Netflix.
And I'm going to say this just to forewarn you, because this is going to be short. It was short. There will be spoilers. If you have not watched it yet, go watch it first, then come back and hear what we have to say.
So the first thing that surprised me was the general...
That He-Man's taken out of the first episode?
Yeah.
During the first episode?
Well, that generally the way Rotten Tomatoes scores work for genre is that oftentimes they're both very high or they're both very low. But when there's a discrepancy, usually the critics weren't that crazy about it, but the fans really get into it. Masters of the Universe is the opposite. The critic absolutely adored this and thought it was so well put together, so well done.
Because the critics can look at it as its own entity.
Right.
Whereas the fans are emotionally involved in what He-Man was and expect more of that.
Exactly. So I need to say immediately that you're not going to hear me complain that Kevin Smith, who was the showrunner and head writer, that Kevin Smith destroyed my childhood with these 5 episodes, because He-Man was not really part of my childhood. I certainly was aware of He-Man.
I watched it. I probably watched every episode.
There you go. Yeah, I did not. I watched maybe an episode. I, of course, knew about He-Man. I knew about the toys, but somehow it was just one of those franchises that passed me by.
Well, She-Ra, Princess of Power,
Yeah.
I mean, that new series is very far from its origins in terms of where it was.
And that's okay.
And it's going on several seasons now.
Right. And I think that's good because the children of the 70s and 80s are not the children of today. And I think that you do have to evolve. Now, I understand that Masters of the Universe Revelation is supposed to appeal to those people.
I mean, you're saying children, but I know that one of the people that told me about She-Ra was a grown man in his late 40s. I think, late 40s. A smart guy, very smart guy. And the She-Ra Princess of Power series is just one of those things that he really loves.
Yeah.
He thought they did an excellent job with it. Not taking it from the original, only, elements of it. So then back to Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, so I did not feel that this destroyed my childhood because I knew who the characters were. I understood about the franchise. I had an interest. I was just, sci-fi. Those were also the days of Star Trek and Star Wars movies and these other things, and I didn't catch the He-Man stuff. But I did watch these, and I thought they were really, really good. The animation was good. The voice acting was good. The writing was good. The music is by Bear McCreary, one of my favorite television composers. This is just a really good series, and it did not go where I expected it to go. It did not have the arc I expected it to have, and we're only in the middle of it. We're in Season 1. We'll have a total of 10 episodes. Only the first 5, Part 1, are live now. But I'm definitely intrigued. But at the same time, I do understand why if you were a 40-year-old who grew up with the cartoons where no one ever got stabbed. I mean, I guess he had a sword that he never actually cut anyone with ever in any of the episodes. if you have a sword that's never used, if you have no stakes whatsoever, that the fact that this one has deaths and stakes and goes in new directions, I can see how that would be something that maybe you weren't expecting / hoping for.
Well, one of the things that bugged me, and not exactly sure why. I mean, the cast was great. Everyone did an excellent job. I'm a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar, but I just never really felt like her voice was the right voice for this role.
You know, what's interesting is I wonder how much of that is because you had a much better sense of the character than I did.
Well, it's not even a sense of the character. I felt like the voice that I was hearing wasn't the voice that fit this animated character.
It didn't bother me, but
And it usually won't bother me with things like that, but for some reason, in this instance, it did. And since it is one of the main characters that you see all the time, it stood out.
And that makes a difference.
It did take away a little bit of my enjoyment of the series just because the main character, the animated look, just for me, just didn't seem to fit the voice.
Okay, fair enough.
And like I said, I am a fan of Sarah Michelle Gellar. This is not anything against her. I didn't feel like her portrayal of the character was bad in any way. It just, to me, seemed a mismatch.
I did think some of the matches were perfect. I thought, obviously, Mark Hamill is just perfect in everything.
Lena Headey,
I thought was absolutely excellent. I love Chris Wood as Prince Adam / He-Man because he has a voice that can be both soft enough to be this kind of young, scrawny guy, but also then infuse it with enough power.
Liam Cunningham, great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Griffin Newman as Orko was fantastic.
I know the one that you liked was Henry Rollins, too.
Henry Rollins. Oh, I just love Henry Rollins as just an individual.
Yeah, no, I mean, the rest of the cast, I loved. It was just very, I can't even say what it is. Just, to me, it seemed, like I said.
It just, like you said, it just didn't work for you.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah, I think that, again, not having seen the original, I saw Kevin Smith's very, very emphatic defense of these episodes, basically saying, people were saying the girls were in it too much. They were in the original ones a ton. So saying that Prince Adam wasn't He-Man enough. There were episodes where the sword was missing and he was never He-Man at all. So they were definitely taking elements of the original from everything I can gather, just not the ones that the real fans want to see.
And there's nothing wrong with it being a female-driven series.
Oh, nothing at all. Nothing at all.
It isn't He-Man Masters of the Universe. This is Masters of the Universe Revelation.
Right.
They're revealing something in this series that most people of Eternia did not know.
Yeah. It will be really interesting to see, number one, where the next 5 go. And number 2, if they bring back the status quo, how many of those original fans that hated it, original fans of the 80s that hated this reboot, will then forgive it. Or how many simply were so turned off by the first 5 episodes of Revelation, they will not give the next 5 a chance, even if they turn out to be, putting back the status quo that they wanted to be put back. I also wonder how well this is doing because, like I said, the critics are loving it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's being watched by a lot of people. But anyway, if you liked He-Man and you're willing to go on a ride, I think you'll like this one.
The animation is great.
Yeah.
The storyline is excellent, and the character development is wonderful.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to be disappointed, but if you go in expecting more of the He-Man that you grew up with, you're going to be disappointed.
Sure.
They never said this is going to be a continuation. This is going to be what you loved from your childhood. Grown up. It is a more grown-up show.
It is. Though I still think kids could enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. I didn't say that they can't.
And as far as blood goes, there's minor blood in this. You don't see, compared to Suicide Squad, everything is minor blood as far as I'm concerned now. But, if you have a kid that doesn't like seeing occasional stab wounds and stuff, it's probably not the one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think it's fine for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, Golden.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this episode. You can find the show notes at theomegabeam.com/137. If you liked this episode, please leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Your reviews help people who like this stuff find our podcast. If you have any comments or suggestions, please drop us a line at info@theomegabeam.com. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you next time.
The Omega Beam. Full stop.